Hey everyone, good afternoon, and welcome to this week's episode of Hot Jobs. This week I am joined by other members of the Tenova team, Michelle and Rue. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining today. Before we get started, I do want to thank our sponsor, Customer.io. So Customer.io is a marketing, automation, and messaging platform designed for businesses to communicate with their customers. They do everything from automated messaging, email campaigns, A/B testing, and so much more. So you know that you always interact with that little chatbot or automated message on your favorite website. If this is a need for your business, I would highly recommend checking out Customer.io. I'm also very excited to announce that we have another SkillBridge intern starting with them next week. So really exciting time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have another member join their team. So awesome. So today, if you're joining us live, go ahead and drop a comment on where you're joining us from. If you're a job seeker, please share what type of role you are looking for, as well as where you are looking to do that. And of course, if you have any questions for us in the career navigation space, go ahead and drop that in the comment as well. And we will do our best to get to some live question and answer today. So
Can we also add in your favorite, what air guitar instrument you play when rocking out to the Hot Jobs intro? I'll
Yes.
first say I'm a drummer. I'm like all over the place, ready, go.
I think that I would also pick drums personally. I don't want to feel like I copied you, but I'm not musically inclined. So I feel like drums feel a little more natural. I don't know how much rhythm I have, but that's what I would
like
guess.
4 instruments.
Every time it comes on, my dog runs in. So he's like, he like wants to be part of it. He was here right before we went live.
He knows it is.
Yeah, the backstretch.
He knows that like a gathering is happening by the theme song. Well, I'm excited that we're even bringing dogs to our lab event because you know how I feel about that. So as we were preparing today, we were thinking about what topics we wanted to chat about, and something that came up was the extra step mindset. So as we were brainstorming as a team, we came up with how do people stand out? And not just job seekers, but when you're an employee, when you're a member of a team, what do you do that helps people stand out? Or when you've worked with someone great, what is it about that person that you thought like, hey, I like working with that person? So what does it mean to be or go the extra step? One of the things that we came up with was this no talent list. This is actually something our CEO, Nick, talks about a lot, about some of the things that are really important as an employee, as a candidate, as a client, as a customer, really don't require any talent. So what would you guys put in that no talent list?
It's definitely showing interest in the company and knowing what it is you're going after prior to getting into the interview. There's someone that's alive and excited about the job interview and not just I'm checking a block. You're my 973rd interview. Being personable, allowing to build that connection because people want to work with and talk to people that they want to work with and talk to. And if you're not flowing well, they start looking down. How much longer does this have to go? So a lot of no talent things you can do.
I think also showing up early. I remember my first interview with Nick. The one thing he said to me, because I came early to the interview, he's like, "Oh, you just scored like 1,000 points," because there's nothing worse than showing up at the time that it starts. Right back before everyone did interviews through Zoom. You physically had to go somewhere and you would always be there, like 10 minutes early, walking in the door, saying hello and greeting the receptionist. And, we've lost that, but making sure that you're showing up early so that you're actually on time. And like Ruth said, be enthusiastic, be excited to be there.
I think those are two really great examples. I was meeting with one of our clients for SkillBridge, and one of the things she mentioned about the service member that they are giving an offer to was her enthusiasm. They said that she was so excited for the opportunity, presented herself with such like excitement and the drive to want to learn, that they thought, I can teach this woman anything. So I think that was such a great compliment.
Yeah.
And it has not, I won't say it has nothing to do with the role. It has something to do with the role, but it's not a hard skill, right? So this doesn't necessarily require her to have some type of like expertise technically, right? But she can present herself in a way that's excited. So I think that's a great one. Showing up early, totally doesn't take a lot of talent to show up early, but you would be surprised on how many people consistently show up late for something that's important. So making sure that you are prioritizing. And I agree with you, Michelle, in the Zoom and in like internet world, people just hit join meeting exactly at the time. I was actually just having this conversation with my sister who works a hybrid role. And we were talking about how our CEO starts every meeting like 10 minutes early. But I said, that's for us to like get into our workspace, right? That's for virtual chit chat. That's for catching up. And then we start the meeting at the meeting time. So having that little bit of like hygiene, I think is really important. Doesn't take a lot of talent to just log on a few minutes early.
Yeah. And it gives the interviewer the choice, you know, hey, I'm ready to start now. If you are, that's giving you 30 minutes. You have 40 minutes to sell yourself. And or you may be helping them out and they may appreciate that. Anything you can do to free up their time and free up their day. It goes like, you know, two weeks ago when I was on and we were talking about communication styles and making it so they don't have to follow up with questions, answering the 5 W's. Showing up early is a good way to give them a little more space, and it gives you a little more less mental anxiety because you're there early and you're not like, oh, my water, oh, this, I'm ready to go.
I agree. The other thing that we were talking about is doing what other people won't, right? So some people won't show up early. Some people won't do that little bit of extra. I had a former coworker who was newer to our company. She asked me like what my experience had been like at that point. And she said, what do you think has made you successful on this team? And I said, I saw all the projects that no one really wanted because they were annoying and maybe like not that impactful. And I started doing them. I just said, hey, I'd be happy to take over this small piece. And little by little, it becomes a lot. So taking a look at maybe some of the things that aren't really fun, maybe they're a little more administrative, maybe they're a little bit more foundational, I will call them. But I thought, this is a good exercise for me to like brush up on some of those skills. So also taking a look at even a little bit of an impact to a team over the course of 6 months might be a really big contribution.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, you know, sometimes that doing what others don't want to do is pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And that definitely is kind of part of that extra step, because I think, you know, when I'm leading a team, looking at those people who are willing to kind of step out of that box of what they know how to do, elevates them above everybody else, because they're taking that risk. When you take that risk, you sometimes fail, right? But you know, putting yourself in that uncomfortable position also then takes that extra step and defines who you are on the team and sets you apart.
Yeah, for sure.
The other,
go ahead.
No, I was actually gonna say that something that you mentioned, Rue, was about kind of eliminating some of that like mental anxiety, mental stress by either being early. But I think the other thing is having a little bit of being prepared, right? Going through a mental rehearsal and being able to prep your environment so that you're not having all of these external factors kind of interrupt that flow. So when you are talking to folks that you work with, as far as like going into an interview or prepping to for a meeting, we can even say, how do you talk to people about that focus or being prepared?
Yeah, definitely. Preemptive strike, I like to call it. You got to go around the house. You got to let everybody in the house know that you're going to be on a call. You got to have
that's
dog
good.
treats on your desk. So in the event something happens, you can just start chucking them off to the side. Note on the door to make sure UPS, the mailman, or any of those types of people don't knock. Thanks for leaving the package, yada, yada, yada. It can be completely off-putting to hear a dog barking in the other part of the house. Like, is Timmy stuck in the well? Is the house on fire? I don't know.
Right.
I'm supposed to be concentrating over here. Or take that completely out of the equation. Go to a WeWork space,
Library.
Yes, it costs a little bit, a library, something like that. Use somebody else's office, an extra room somewhere that you can do that kind of stuff. Then you're safe.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And visualize things going wrong and working through that problem.
Yeah. It's a great way to like calm your anxiety. If you we all think worst case scenarios, like you said, visualize it going wrong. And so, visualize it going wrong for what happens if your internet goes out, what's your backup? That's always troubling, especially like I'm down here in the South, we have storms and sometimes it really affects the internet. So what's your backup? How do you, do you have your phone ready to jump right back on? Things like that. And the dog thing, I think, we're all used to having dogs interrupting our daily lives when we all work remotely. But when you're interviewing, it's kind of, a different space because you're trying to make that great first impression.
Yeah. I think there's a difference too. We know that things happen, life happens, right? We can be prepared for probably most of it. But if it's obvious that you've done your best to do your preemptive strike, as Rue said, it's going to come across, right? I always have dog treats near me just in case someone rings our doorbell. You never know. Sometimes things go wrong, but I think you're right, Rue, having some of those things figured out. And that kind of goes back to our sign in early, make sure your audio, your camera, your internet's working, and how can you utilize plan B if you need to, like Michelle said. Do you have your phone ready? Are your headphones charged? Do you have a more quiet space that you can kind of lock yourself in, put in a digital background and make it work? And
have you been on Zoom or other programs that seem to have constant updates in the last 6 hours so that you don't have to at the last minute have to restart your computer and do all that? Totally. Yeah. That's a really good one. I feel like Zoom is constantly updating and it is not quick. Yeah. So as we kind of move to the next layer of the extra step, let's say that you are meeting with a new client, someone you're interviewing with, or just someone who's an external stakeholder, maybe in your company or your position. How do you talk to candidates or employees about being prepared for that? What is like that type of prep look like?
I think it's kind of, if you're interviewing for a job, one of the things that I love to tell, the candidates we're working with is you have to find out about the company, but that's not on their about page. Like, where do you find out what's really going on with the company? Because that also goes back to what we were talking about, standing out. Everybody looks at the about section on the company and gets that vernacular, but then they stop. They don't know anything else. So it's like, go look at the CEO's LinkedIn page, see what he or she is talking about. Look in a business journal. Is the company mentioned? So that when you're interviewing, and even it's great for like small talk at the beginning or closing at the end, you can mention it to the recruiter. Like, hey, I saw that your company is doing XYZ. I read this article about it in, the journal. And can you tell me more? I was really interested in that. That really sets candidates apart. I love that when I'm interviewing people because it shows me that you're hungry. You're not just going to settle for the status quo. You're going to try to figure out ways to improve things and think differently than just what's basically expected. Yeah,
and do your homework on, if you can, on who you're interviewing with. If it's
Yeah.
it's it's first stage and you're with the HR manager or the hiring manager, you know their name. Look them up on LinkedIn. Where'd they go to school? Find those commonalities between location. Oh, we grew up in the same area. Blah blah blah. You don't have to point out that you know that about them, but you can say, "Oh yeah, I'm a University of Mississippi grad," and then they're like, "Oh, where'd you pledge? What dorm were you in?"
Yeah.
It does pull away from the meat and potatoes, but it creates a stronger bond with the person that you're interviewing with. And a lot of people, I mean, this plays up into the first one where they just don't want to take the time to do that, or they don't want to seem like they're trying too hard. I assure you it works better than not. So definitely do your homework on the people. And like Michelle said, look at what the CEO is talking about, but also know that a lot of CEOs don't talk about things and don't have time to do things because they're, keeping everything going. Look at the second and third tier of individuals that are in the organization as well and see what they're posting about, and find something that you can relate in the interview.
I think those are great examples of going the extra step. Just takes a couple of minutes to find that information. Not super hard, and it could absolutely make you a more memorable candidate or client, even if it's not an interview and you're just meeting with a company. Being prepared shows that you care, that you're willing to,
you can also repost something, their most recent thing. You read over it, put your comments, repost it on yours. I know when I was a VP of HR and we were hiring C-suite, I would be cyber stalking every single person that we I wanted to see if they were going to be inside the circle or outside of the circle. Are they cool? Would I want to work with them? Do we have any commonalities? So I would, take a look at what they would posted most recently. Oh, they haven't posted anything. I'm like, they're not really active in networking. And obviously, depending on the role, that might not be part of their stuff. But that's another good way that good HR people are going to take a look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say? I know we talk about networking here a lot. And sometimes I feel like it can be a really daunting activity. I know Mike talks about this a lot, and Mike has built a very large network over the course of a long time. But I always kind of want to bring it back to the person who's just starting out, and maybe has no idea on like where to start. What would you guys suggest on how to get started in networking with someone who's like pretty new to the space, doesn't have a lot of connections? Where do you start?
I got a perfect example for that one.
Oh,
I'm not going to name any names because I am currently working with him, but he came to me with nothing, no LinkedIn at all. Didn't even have the account. Didn't have a resume past like maybe a page, and that was just kind of him writing down some thoughts. What I told him for LinkedIn presence and networking is go to everybody that you're currently working with and connect with them. They all know you're leaving. I mean, it's not any surprise that you're transitioning out of the military. Connect with them if they have a space, have a presence in the cybersecurity realm or high tier security clearance type roles. Not a lot of presence from people because they feel that someone's going to hack into their lives and destroy it. Totally understandable. So that might be a little bit of a hurdle. But after that, start going through everybody you worked with, every leader and senior leader of an organization, and come up with what I do is I have 3 kind of pre-made outreach email, speech, or LinkedIn message for people that are peers, people that are unknown peers or contacts, and then senior leaders in organizations that you worked in at the same time. So I was at Brigade X. General so-and-so was active in connecting with that brigade. Put that in there. Hey, sir, ma'am, I'm trying to grow my professional network as I'm getting ready to transition out of the military. I would like to connect with you. I really enjoyed hearing you speak at when we worked at those types of leads that draw that commonality. And you might get a person that actually cares about other human beings and is like, hey, you know what? Oh, Gary Owen, 7th First. Sure. We're going to, I'm going to set you up with somebody and you let me know if they're not taking care of you. And that could be it. That could be that extra step that gets you a job that you didn't even know you were interviewing for because it wasn't an interview.
I think that's really smart. I love that you have those different templates for reach out because you can spend an afternoon crafting 2 or 3, and then it's really easy to just utilize from there. You're already prepared. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
And I think it's like Ruth said, if it's someone who has nothing, it's like low hanging fruit. Where are you going to be most comfortable? Because networking, like I love talking with people and I love networking. Like I used to, go to live events and would just really have a great time connecting and meeting new people. And, you pull out your phone on the LinkedIn app and you can just scan and connect with people right away.
Yeah.
But I think for people who are really uncomfortable in that space, it's what is the lowest hanging fruit? Like, do you have friends from college or even high school that, you can connect with where you could say, hey, like, I need help or I'm just starting. I need people until you get comfortable. But I do too. I mean, the using templates just is a game changer because you can have them. I mean, mine are labeled some really weird things so that I know exactly what I'm targeting. But it makes it super easy because it's plug and play. And, unless it's those, when you start getting into higher level people, you probably want to tailor them, like Ruth said, really tailor them more. But otherwise, I think it's, it's an easy thing. The one thing that I do want everyone to be aware of is don't send out like 100 connection requests a day because LinkedIn will think that you're spamming and they will delete your account. They will close it. You will never get it back. And having worked that has happened to, it is a nightmare. So be thoughtful about how many connection requests you're sending every day.
Another thing with those larger group meetup things, when someone's speaking and at the end it's always the same, are there any questions? What are anybody's thoughts on X? You need to be like ready to raise your hand and say something that is intelligent, because I can tell you I don't remember the other 99% of people, but that one person that asked the question about if they have a face, they have a voice, they have a name. If you say Joaquin De Quintana, I'm looking for X. I just had a question about this, or I'm coming out of, something that puts a fingerprint on your face and makes them go, oh, I remember you. That's a good thing.
That's smart. Yeah. I want to get to some of the comments before we highlight some of the jobs. So first, obviously very important, Airbase. Thank you for playing our game, Joshua Berry. So he plays the Airbase to our intro video, our intro song.
I know. It's a good
I love that you answered this.
Yeah.
I liked this one too. Early is on time is late. I agree. A couple minutes early. We also
my kid doesn't believe that, but
not yet. They don't. Another person logging on to Teams 5 to 10 minutes early to make sure there's no issues. Yes, Microsoft is very finicky, as is Zoom. Make sure you log on early. And so from the other side of the desk, making common connection helps the interviewers to overlook small things such as nervousness. Totally agree. It makes you more human. It's completing your story. Maybe they overlook a couple of things, right? Maybe nervous or stumbling. You're right. Commonalities make you seem more human.
Can we hit David's? This one's great. What types of posts should I be making on LinkedIn, if any, in mind? The ones I think of sound cliche. I think you kind of look into your soul and you go, what's important to me? And then maybe just Google some ideas. Once you start following certain organizations, you should always have like some nonprofits, some charities. Try to be as warm and fuzzy as a person can be, so that people know that, oh, this is a kind person. Granted, if you're going to like Triple Canopy or Blackwater and you're going to be kicking in doors, that might not.
You'd still be kind. You'd still be kind. You'd be a standout person if you were kind.
But definitely, once you get associated with those types of organizations that you resonate with, you'll start to see things, and then you start promoting them, and it's really quite simple. Put your thoughts on it, and go from there.
And I mean, post about things that are authentic to you. If you feel it's important and it's real and it's true to you, people can feel that in what you're posting. Even if you think it sounds cliche, David, if it's something that, you know, is true to who you are, it gives everyone a glimpse of, you know, what you're bringing to the table for an employer.
For sure.
And that might be just something that people need to hear. And just because maybe it's cliche to someone else, it could be really novel to a different person. So if that is part of your authentic message, then I would say go for it.
And I do believe what I said, but I would try to keep it out of the political realm or the religious realm. Because you don't want to put anything that kind of flavors you
divides
either
people
way with whoever the interviewers are.
Yeah.
I'm just putting up a couple of other folks who are looking to connect and looking for some positions. So out in the audience, if you have any opportunities for these people, no musical talent. Okay, that's okay, Jeremy, no big deal. Big deal. Okay. Erickson. Senior HR roles, Minneapolis. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for your comments. Again, you can keep dropping them in there. This is recorded too, so just if we don't get to your comment, doesn't mean that people won't see it. With the last 2 minutes, we are going to talk about some job opportunities for hot jobs. We are going to be having a couple of what I think is going to be an influx of positions next week. Some of those deals are just not quite finalized yet. And as always, if you join our jobs pool or our SkillBridge pool, you will be first to find out about those positions as they are posted. I did want to give an update for one of my very favorite SkillBridge positions, which is the Texas Instrument Equipment Technician role. This position currently is in Dallas, Texas, and Lehigh, Utah. However, there is going to be a third location that we will accept applications at, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned that here, and that's going to be Portland, Maine. So anyone who is on the East Coast and would like an opportunity at TI, we are going to be opening positions for Texas Instrument and the Equipment Technician in Portland, Maine. So I don't have it up yet, but I will have it up shortly. You can always apply through the main Texas Instrument job post on our job board. And if you give me a little note and says that you would prefer to be in Portland, that would be excellent. So that is an exciting opportunity in a new location. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. And of course, I also wanted to mention our partners at Cribble for the customer success engineer blend of account management and technical expertise. I always plug Cribble University because they give away their certifications and all the knowledge about their platform for free. So when we're talking about going the extra step, there's an extra step. The most basic certification is 8 hours. If you cut your screen time in half for only 1 week, you could be that foundational leveler. I think it's a Cribble user in 8 hours. So really a great way to be a standout candidate. Honestly, for any position in that tech software as sales space, just making yourself more marketable by having some more technical expertise on a particular platform. So with that, we are just about at 30 minutes. Michelle, Rue, any final words?
I saw a couple people say something about aviation.
Yes.
Connect with me on LinkedIn. I was a Brigade S1 for an aviation brigade, and have a lot of aviation connections in a lot of weird places. So if there's something I can do to forward you to them, let me know.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. If anyone out there, I know I'm looking for the comment that said aviation. But if you are in aviation, go ahead and connect with Rue. Send him a request and a nice note. We're testing your templates here. Okay. So get your templates together and send one to Rue. Michelle, anything before we sign off for today?
I think just, know who you are, know what you can bring to the table when you're interviewing, especially, and know what you can do to go the extra mile.
Yeah.
That's what I hope everyone takes away from today.
Awesome. Well, Rue, Michelle, thank you so much for joining me today for Hot Jobs. And thank you for everyone for joining us. We will be back here next Wednesday at the same time. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next
Bye.
time.
Thanks, everyone.